Imagine waking up on the first morning of your retirement. For decades, you've worked hard, paid your taxes, and dreamed of this very moment. The freedom to spend time with your family, travel a little, maybe finally slow down and enjoy life. But then, you check the mailbox, or you log in online, and you see the number on your monthly Social Security benefit. It's not what you expected. It's not what you hoped for. And suddenly, that dream feels smaller, tighter, and more uncertain. This is the reality for millions of older Americans today. Social Security, for many, is not just a piece of the retirement puzzle. It is the puzzle. It is the one check standing between them and poverty, the one check that keeps the lights on, the rent paid, and food on the table. It was never designed to work this way. When Social Security was created, it was intended as a foundation, a safety net that would supplement pensions and savings. But over the decades, pensions have faded away, savings accounts have often fallen short, and Social Security has become, for millions, the single lifeline. And here's the truth: that lifeline is not as strong as most people imagine. The average Social Security benefit today is about $2,000 a month, roughly $24,000 a year. Now, in some parts of the country, that might sound barely manageable. In others, it's almost impossible. Compare that to the median household expenses of older adults, which can easily reach $35,000 to $40,000 a year, and you see the gap. The math simply doesn't add up. But this isn't just about numbers on a page. This is about real people, neighbors, grandparents, veterans, widows, workers who spent decades on their feet or behind a desk. It's about the struggle to choose between paying for medication or keeping the air conditioning running during a heat wave. It's about deciding whether to buy fresh food or stretch canned goods a little further. It's about dignity, security, and the kind of retirement that every American deserves, but not everyone experiences. So what does it really look like to live only on Social Security? How do people manage? What sacrifices do they make? And what lessons can we learn if we're planning for retirement ourselves? In this series, we'll walk through the hard numbers, the daily realities, the stories of people living this life, and the strategies that can make it a little easier. Along the way, we'll uncover myths, explore truths, and confront the future of the program itself. Because here's the thing: Social Security is not going away. It will remain a cornerstone of American retirement for generations to come. But whether it's enough, whether it provides more than just survival, depends on how we understand it, prepare for it, and support those who rely on it most. So let's step into this journey together. Let's look at what it really means to live only on Social Security alone, the challenges, the trade-offs, and maybe even the unexpected strengths that come from living with less. Let's break down what living on Social Security alone really looks like when the numbers hit the paper. The average monthly benefit today is about $2,000. That's $24,000 a year. Now, to some years, it may not sound disastrous, but let's place it against the real costs of daily life. Start with housing, the single largest expense for most retirees. If you rent an apartment, the national average for a one-bedroom unit is around $1,100 a month, and in many cities, it's far higher. That already swallows over half of your Social Security check. If you own a home, you may be carrying property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs. Even if the mortgage is paid off, the ongoing expenses can easily hit $500 or more a month. Next comes healthcare. Medicare helps, yes, but it isn't free. Standard Part B premiums alone are over $170 per month. Add a Part D prescription plan, plus deductibles, copays, and out-of-pocket drug costs, and you're often looking at $300 to $500 a month just for medical expenses. For anyone managing chronic conditions, Diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, the costs climb even higher. Then there's food. Even a modest grocery budget, keeping things simple, can run $300 a month per person. Fresh fruits and vegetables, lean protein, whole grains, they add up. If you live in a city with higher food costs, you might spend far more. And cutting corners on food can mean sacrificing nutrition, which in turn worsens health, creating a vicious cycle. Utilities, electricity, water, gas, internet, phone rarely dip below $150 a month. Transportation is another unavoidable cost. Whether it's gas, insurance, and repairs for an older car, or bus passes and ride shares, you need a way to get to the doctor, the store, or to visit family. On average, retirees spend around $200 a month just to stay mobile. Add these numbers together, and what do you have? Rent or housing costs, $800 to $1,200. Healthcare, $300 to $500. Food, $300. Utilities, $150. Transportation, $200. That alone totals $1,750 to $2,200. Remember, the monthly benefit is $2,000. The budget is already stretched past the breaking point. And we haven't even talked about clothing, emergencies, entertainment, or a small trip to see the grandkids. This is why so many seniors feel squeezed. There's no room for error. A broken water heater, a car repair, or an unexpected hospital stay can throw everything into chaos. And without savings or a pension to fall back on, Social Security recipients often turn to credit cards or personal loans, which only deepen the struggle. It's easy to see why living solely on Social Security feels like trying to balance on a knife's edge. The math leaves no cushion. Every dollar must be tracked, every expense considered. For some, it becomes a constant source of anxiety. For others, it forces a kind of resilience and resourcefulness that can be inspiring. But for everyone, the reality is the same. That monthly check can only stretch so far. And for most retirees, it is simply not enough to live the retirement they once imagined. Numbers tell part of the story, but they never tell it all. To understand what it's like to live only on Social Security, we need to step into the shoes of the people who are living this reality every single day. Take Harold, for instance. He's 72, a widower, and lives alone in a small apartment in Ohio. His monthly Social Security check comes to about $1,350. His rent eats up nearly $800. Medicare premiums and prescription costs take another $200. Groceries cost him about $250 a month if he's careful. By the time utilities and transportation are factored in, Harold has almost nothing left. If his car breaks down, if the rent increases, or if he faces a medical emergency, there's no safety net. Harold describes his life as a constant balancing act, cutting coupons, skipping meals, and hoping that nothing unexpected happens. Retirement for him feels less like freedom and more like survival. Now let's look at Maria and Joe. They're in their late 60s, living in Texas. Together, their Social Security benefits total about $3,200 a month. They also have a small pension from Joe's years at a manufacturing plant. They own their home outright, so they don't pay rent or a mortgage, though property taxes and upkeep still cost them several $100s a month. They budget carefully, cook at home, and limit travel to occasional road trips. Their life is modest, but they feel secure. They can afford their medications, enjoy visits from their grandchildren, and even save a little each month. For them, Social Security provides stability because it's combined with savings and a debt-free lifestyle. Then there's Evelyn. She's 75, living in California. She never married, spent her life working part-time jobs, and her Social Security benefit is just under $1,000 a month. Housing costs in her area are so high that she rents a room in another retiree's home. Evelyn relies on food banks, church assistance, and occasional help from neighbors. She jokes that she never imagined her golden years would look like this, but the truth is, the stress weighs on her. She worries about becoming a burden, about what will happen if her health fails, about whether she'll have a place to live a year from now. These stories reveal the stark reality. Social Security alone means very different things depending on your circumstances. The amount of your benefit, whether you rent or own, whether you're single or married, whether you have health challenges or not, all of these factors determine whether Social Security feels like a lifeline or a leash. And yet, despite the struggles, many retirees show extraordinary resilience. They form support groups, share meals, exchange rides, and lean on one another in ways that remind us of the strength of community. For some, living simply becomes a philosophy, even a source of unexpected contentment. But for others, the anxiety never leaves. Every bill is a reminder of how fragile their security truly is. Behind the averages and statistics are people like Harold, Maria, Joe, and Evelyn. Their lives remind us that Social Security is not just a program, it's the difference between stability and fear, between having choices and being forced to make sacrifices no one should have to make in their later years. If there's one thing that defines retirement on Social Security alone, it's the constant presence of tough choices. Every dollar matters, and that means retirees are forced to prioritize in ways that can feel exhausting. The biggest challenge, of course, is healthcare. Medicare provides essential coverage, but it doesn't eliminate out-of-pocket costs. Between premiums, deductibles, co-pays, and medications, retirees can easily spend hundreds of dollars each month. For someone with chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, or arthritis, the costs mount quickly. Many are forced to choose between filling a prescription or paying the utility bill. Housing is the second great pressure point. Seniors who own their homes outright are in a stronger position, but property taxes, insurance, and maintenance are never-ending. Those who rent face even tougher realities, as rising rents can outpace fixed incomes. It's no surprise that more retirees are downsizing, moving to smaller apartments, manufactured homes, or even sharing housing with other retirees to cut costs. For some, relocating to states with lower living expenses becomes the only solution. So how do retirees make it work? Strict budgeting is the first line of defense. Many sit down each month with pen and paper, carefully dividing their check into categories: housing, health, food, utilities, and what's left. The what's left is often close to zero. That's why programs like SNAP, food assistance, Medicaid, or energy subsidies become lifelines. Retirees who might never have imagined needing government help often find themselves applying just to survive. Another coping strategy is part-time work. It might be greeting customers at a local store, driving a few hours for a rideshare company, or babysitting grandchildren. For some, this provides not just income, but also a sense of purpose and connection. But working isn't always possible. Health issues, lack of transportation, or caregiving responsibilities can make even part-time work unrealistic. Then there's the psychological side. Living on a razor-thin budget creates constant stress. Every decision carries weight. Should you buy the healthier groceries or stick with cheaper processed foods? Should you go to the doctor for that nagging pain or hope it resolves on its own to avoid the bill? These are not small choices. They affect quality of life, health, and peace of mind. Yet, within these challenges, there are also stories of resourcefulness. Retirees organize potluck dinners to share meals affordably. They swap services. One offers rides to the store, another helps with home repairs. Churches, senior centers, and community organizations become vital hubs of support. While the financial strain never disappears, community connections can ease the burden and add meaning to daily life. At the heart of it all, the greatest challenge is not just stretching the dollars, but maintaining dignity and independence. For many, asking for help feels uncomfortable, even humiliating. But as more retirees face the same struggles, the stigma begins to fade. The reality is simple. Living only on Social Security requires creativity, resilience, and often the courage to seek out every available resource. Whenever the topic of Social Security comes up, one question is never far behind. Will it still be there when future retirees need it? The concern isn't unfounded. Reports have warned for years that the Social Security trust funds are facing strain. By the early 2030s, if nothing changes, the system may only be able to pay around 75 to 80% of scheduled benefits. That means future retirees could see their checks reduced unless Congress acts. But here's the important truth. Social Security is not going to disappear. Payroll taxes will continue to fund the program. Even in a worst-case scenario, benefits won't drop to zero. Instead, the challenge is about adequacy, whether the checks people receive will be enough to live on. And that's where planning and awareness becomes so important. There are many myths that create confusion. Some believe everyone gets the same check, when in reality, benefits are tied to lifetime earnings and the age at which you claim them. Others assume waiting until 70 is always best, because benefits grow each year you delay. While waiting does increase the amount, it isn't always practical. If your health is poor or if you need income sooner, claiming earlier may make more sense. Each retiree's situation is unique, which is why understanding your options is critical. Policy debates continue in Washington about how to shore up the program. Ideas include raising the payroll tax rate slightly, lifting the cap on taxable wages so high earners contribute more, or adjusting the benefit formula to protect lower-income workers while slowing growth for higher earners. Other proposals involve gradually increasing the full retirement age or changing the way cost of living adjustments are calculated. None of these ideas are politically easy, but they show there are options to preserve the program for future generations. For today's retirees, though, the uncertainty feels personal. Imagine planning your life around a monthly check, only to hear that it might shrink in a decade. The anxiety adds to the stress of already living on a tight budget. And yet, the message from experts is clear. Social Security will endure. The real issue is how much it will provide and how we as a society choose to strengthen it. This is why it's so important for individuals to take action where they can. Checking your Social Security statement, understanding your projected benefits, and considering how different claiming ages affect your income are all steps you can take right now. Even if you can't save much, having a plan, knowing your numbers, and preparing for possible changes will put you in a stronger position. The future of Social Security is uncertain in detail, but certain in principle. It will continue to exist, it will continue to pay benefits, but whether those benefits are enough, whether they provide true security rather than just bare survival, will depend on both personal planning and national policy decisions in the years ahead. As we reach the end of this journey into what it really means to live on Social Security alone, one truth stands out. It's hard, often painfully so. The checks are modest, the costs of living are high, and the trade-offs are constant. Retirees juggling rent, groceries, medications, and utilities know that there's little room for comfort, let alone luxuries. And yet, despite the challenges, millions of Americans make it work every single day. What we've explored is not just about money. It's about resilience, adaptation, and the enduring human spirit. Retirees stretch meals, share resources, and lean on one another. They navigate complex systems of benefits, sometimes spending hours filling out forms or waiting on hold just to secure the assistance that keeps them afloat. In this way, Social Security is not just a program, it is a lifeline that underpins the stability of an entire generation. Still, it's worth remembering that no one should have to live in constant anxiety about whether they can afford tomorrow. That's why conversations about strengthening Social Security are so important. It's not only a matter of numbers and trust funds, it's about dignity. It's about ensuring that after decades of work, people can step into retirement without fear of poverty. For those already retired, the path forward is about finding ways to preserve independence and quality of life even within tight limits. This might mean joining community groups, accessing every benefit available, or embracing creative living arrangements that reduce costs while fostering connection. For those approaching retirement, the lesson is preparation, understanding how Social Security works, planning around it, and, if possible, supplementing it with savings or part-time work. But above all, there is hope. History shows that when Social Security has faced challenges before, lawmakers have stepped up to protect it. Changes were made in the 1980s to ensure solvency, and they can be made again. The program remains one of the most popular and successful social safety nets in American history. Its endurance is not just likely, it is essential. So, if you're watching this as a retiree living on Social Security, know this: your struggles are real, but so is your strength. You were part of a generation that built, contributed, and sacrificed, and you deserve respect and support. And if you're still on the road to retirement, take these lessons seriously. Learn, plan, and advocate, because your future self will thank you. In the end, Social Security is more than a check in the mail. It's a promise that after a lifetime of work, there will be something there for you. It may not solve every problem, but it represents security, stability, and most importantly, the idea that no one should grow old, alone, and forgotten. That promise is worth protecting, and it's worth fighting for.